The biggest swindle in life is making you think that life after 40 means that you about 2 seconds from sliding up in that nursing home to play bingo with Barbara and them. But the next 3 celebs we're gonna be talking about in this video, oh, they look good in their 20s, but they look damn good at 40 and beyond. But what are their secrets? Now, some of you are quick to say that because you perceive the fact that they have a lot of money means that they've got personal chefs and personal trainers and nutritionists and dermatologists and plastic surgeons at their every beck and call. However, what are they doing that we non-celebs can do with our modest budgets? Let's explore. And first up, Nia Long. Ciao, my fellow Trini sis. Nia Long has got it going on. But let's see if we can spot what's been making her look even better throughout the decades. From the second she stepped on the scene with her cute pixie cut and pretty face, she has been turning heads. So in going through pictures of Nia from the early 90s, like around 91 when she was doing the movie Boys in the Hood, you could see that she had fuller cheeks and higher cheekbones. And as we discussed in the previous video, remember, aging is just not about wrinkles and fine lines. We lose facial fat, there are muscle changes, there are bone structure changes. These are all things that can affect the way that our faces look. If you already start out with a little bit more facial fat than others, as you start to lose that facial fat, you just become more snatched and more snatched and more snatched. And I think that seems to be the case with Nia Long as well. So I did read a few articles where she talks about her skincare routine, and I also came across this really playful tweet. Now obviously it's gonna take a little more than water, sex, and vitamins to look even better at 40 and beyond than you did in your 20s, although when it's the kind of sex that is relieving stress, you know, because sometimes you're dealing with somebody, they give you a headache, that you don't want, because stress produces a hormone called cortisol, and cortisol can do a number on the body. One of the many things that it can do is that it can accelerate the aging process, and we don't want that. But anyway, I came across a 2020 Women's Health magazine article where she gushed about 2 skincare products that she absolutely loves. I don't know if she still loves them today in 2023, but at least in 2020 she was loving these. So the first product is a Chantecaille Rosewater Spray, and she says she loves this because, you know, as she's filming and she's under these lights, whether you have dry skin or oily skin, sometimes the foundation can get a little cakey, so she takes this rosewater spray and she spritzes it wherever the foundation might look a little cakey, and then she lightly dabs it in. Dabbing is important because then if you go swiping a little bit too hard, then you can wind up taking the makeup off, and who wants that? And then she also mentioned that she likes a Chantecaille moisturizer that's described as Botox in a bottle. Now I had to go and you know, Google the name of the actual product because the article actually links to a tinted moisturizer, which had me confused because I was like, but which one of these is Nia Long's color? Because all of these looking beige, beige, and more beige to me. So this so-called Botox in a bottle product is their $300 BioLifting Serum Plus. Now Nia says that she doesn't use Botox or any of that kind of stuff, and she doesn't knock it, but she just doesn't use it, but she still likes this product. Never tried it myself. I'll link to where you can learn more about the science behind the product. I'll link that in the description. But in a nutshell, it's something that is able to help with the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. Now, it's not going to take the place of a neuromodulator like Botox, but don't get it twisted though, because this $300 product, while Nia Long absolutely loves it, it's not something that is going to be as powerful or last as long as something like Botox would. Now, products like Botox and Xeomin have a number of uses. Some of them can be used for, like, if you clench your jaw, if you sweat profusely. But one of the most common cases that we hear about Botox being used for is to relax the facial muscles, which in turn helps to make, you know, fine lines and wrinkles seem to disappear temporarily. This is a temporary thing. Now, in an April 2022 People magazine article, Nia Long says that she doesn't do anti-aging things, but does admit that she's been blessed by the skin gods. However, though she does have great skin, she says she works very hard to maintain it, which, I don't know, sometimes people think because you were born with great skin, like, you don't really have to do anything to it. Like, you still gotta maintain your skin. Many people do say that I have great skin. However, if I don't do my nighttime routine, my daytime routine, if I just don't do much to my skin, I'm gonna wind up breaking out because it'll get oily, my pores will get clogged. Like, I gotta do maintenance to keep this me and Nia. Another thing that has kept Nia looking more amazing at 40 plus than when she was in her 20s is her makeup and her fuller brows. And these are things that we can do ourselves with our modest budget. Now, while thinner brows and all matte makeup was the look in the 90s and it looked absolutely amazing on Nia, however, as we get older, the all matte makeup and the thinner brows do tend to age us. And why? Because as we get older, our skin does tend to get drier. And at that point, you might as well just have a marquee pointing to your face that is going to highlight every little line and every spot of texture that is on your skin if you're going to do an all matte makeup look at, you know, our golden age. And then of course you don't want to wear anything that's too dewy, because too dewy can translate as greasy. So what you want is a nice blend of matte and radiant finishes in your makeup look. Now, although we've seen a lot of brow trends over the decades, however, as we get older though, those thinner brows become less and less forgiving and tend to age us more. Another thing that's keeping Nia looking even more amazing at 40 plus is she stayed within this kind of within the same weight range. Now, diet and exercise are important for your overall health. However, there are certain aspects of facial aging that diet and exercise alone can't fix. And that's why I say sometimes that diet and exercise is not doing what y'all think it's going to do. So here's an example. Losing weight can especially have a hollowing effect on the face after 30. Now, like I mentioned before, we're already losing that facial fat, and when you lose weight, you're also losing some of that facial fat as well. Now, I gave me as an example in the previous video. After 30, I lost about 30 pounds, and while my body looked amazing, my face drooped and I had some loss of volume. And the fix for me was filler. Now, no amount of facial exercises or full body workouts, or I'm strong to the finish because I eats me spinach,
is there any spinach in the house?
was gonna get my tear troughs filled up or give me that volume that I lost in my face. Just doesn't happen that way. Now, of course, I'm not saying don't lose a significant amount of weight. I just want you to be aware of what can happen when you do lose a considerable amount of weight after 30, how it can affect your face, and what you may be able to do to correct that if you wanted to. But for those who already had a considerable amount of facial fat in their younger years, who maintain their weight throughout the decades, do tend to fare much better. And for those who have been particularly thin most of their lives, a little weight gain after 40 can help lessen some of the signs of aging. Now, notice I said a little weight gain. Now, one more thing before I move on to the next celebrity. Now, I don't know if this is Photoshop, if it is filler, or what. I don't know. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just sharing what I noticed. But in this era, which I think is around December 2022 when this Hollywood Reporter article came out, and the reason why I'm pointing this out, I'm not trying to like out anybody. I'm not even sure if what I'm seeing is what I'm seeing. I'm just like, you know, I'm not accusing anybody of anything because I don't want any smoke. However, it does look, I don't know if it's Photoshop or if she's had filler or maybe it's the lighting. I don't know, but it does look to me, and it's not just, this picture is one that really stood out to me, but there were other pictures around this time frame where it kind of looked like maybe there was a little something there. And if she had that done, there's nothing wrong with it. And the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because it does tend to make some of us believe certain things about beauty that aren't true, that, you know, if you just eat a certain way, or if you meditate, if you use this really expensive skincare product, that you know, you too can get, you know, that result, when, you know, it might be a little injectable in there. You know, I'm not saying that's the case. Again, allegedly, I'm just saying it appears like it could maybe be. Okay? And if it is, ain't nothing wrong with that. But we need to set up realistic expectations when it comes to beauty. There are things that are attainable to those of us with very modest budgets. You know, hair, makeup, fashion choices. And these are things that we're going to talk about a lot more with the next two celebrities. Now, next up, we have Kenya Moore, Miss USA, Miss Gone with the Wind, fabulous herself. Now, Kenya was cold in her 20s, hitting the pageant scene in the early 90s, but also we would see her in a lot of acting roles. Like, do y'all remember that episode of Martin where Martin was trying to, I can't remember if the person was his boss or a client, might have been a client, and he was trying to impress the client and his wife, the client's wife was Kenya Moore, and she was all baddied up, and Gina was getting jealous, and she was like, well, I'm gonna get baddied up too. Oh, y'all remember that episode? Anyway, and Kenya's been in a lot of movies, she's been in a lot of TV shows, like her fine behind has been many places. And she was fine. Did I say she was fine? But at 52, Kenya is cold as ice. Now, like many people in the early 90s who were of age where they could wear makeup and things like that, Kenya definitely sported the thinner brows and the matte makeup look because that was what was in then. Now, brow trends come and go as we've talked about many times before. However, I think that if she would have kept this thinner brow look, you know, going into the decades, that it could have aged her. Kenya has also stayed within a similar weight range through the decade. Now, in this before and after photo, it seems as if Kenya has been able to maintain that facial volume. From what I've read, she's denied having any work done. However, there is speculation that she's had a nose job, that she might be doing filler or maybe a fat transfer or something, because she has really maintained that volume in her face really well. This is speculation. If I look at her nose in this before and after, it does look different, but she's denied having work done and I don't want no smoke. But if she has had any work done, and if that work was a nose job, this is another before and after, if that work was a nose job, it appears as if that alleged nose job was done decades ago. And if that's the case, I wouldn't really count it as, like, I don't know, sometimes this is not the word that I want to use, but for lack of a better term, I wouldn't count a nose job done decades ago as a way of cheating aging. Getting a nose job can take a couple of years off depending on, you know, the outcome of the nose job. I wouldn't count that the same as, like, obviously a facelift or getting filler. Now, some non-beauty procedure stuff that Kenya has done that we can do with our modest budgets is that while she's styled in fresh, modern hairstyles and fashion choices, she's created her own style lane and she is not chasing what the young girls are doing. Now, that is one of the biggest things that I believe can make you look even better after 40. We create our own lanes. We let the young girls in their 20s have their own stuff because we got our own stuff. And we do not go chasing the styles that were popular in our youth. I am a firm believer that if you were of age when a trend first hit, that when it comes back, you should probably skip it. So things become vintage after 20 years. And after something becomes vintage, usually we start to see it again in fashion. So for example, right now we're seeing a lot of the Y2K and early 2000s trends like the low-rise jeans and, you know, that sort of stuff. You know, the Gen Z is wearing that. Gen Z is like, ooh, you know, let me get these low-rise jeans. But as someone who was in her 20s in the early 2000s, and I was definitely wearing the styles at the time, definitely showing midriff in my early 20s. At 42 right now, I politely decline wearing any of that stuff ever again. And it's not to say that women over 40 don't have the bodies to rock it, because nowadays women over 40 are looking better body-wise post 40 than they did when they were younger. However, if you do want to revisit some of the styles, like say for instance you're 40 plus and you want to wear low-rise jeans because low-rise jeans are extremely flattering on you, by all means wear the low-rise jeans. However, you're probably not going to want to style it the same way we did back in the early 2000s. You want to give it a fresh and modern, current age type of styling. And we talked about this on my fashion channel on what's in and out of style. You know, the girlies was mad and they was fighting. Go check that video out, you know, after you finish watching this one. What else do you think contributes to Kenya looking amazing post 50? Let me know in the comments. Next up, Cheryl Lee Ralph. Now, since we talked so much about facial aging and skin and all that other stuff with the other celebrities and in the other video, here I really want to focus on some of the non-procedure related things that we can do with our modest budgets, that it seems as if Cheryl Lee Ralph did the same things and she's a stone cold fox for it. Now, Cheryl Lee Ralph will forever be one of my favorite beauty icons. I love me some Cheryl Lee Ralph. Now, let me tell you a quick funny story. So a couple of years ago, I got invited to a Harlem's Fashion Row influencer. I think it was like a lunch or a breakfast or something like that. And I met a really gorgeous and stylish influencer. We followed each other on Instagram. I would leave comments. I was like, oh girl, that outfit is cute. Or the way that she styled her home was like amazing. She was just like so creative, right? Then like a couple months down, maybe even closer to a year down the line, she posted a picture of Cheryl Lee Ralph and she called her mom. And I was like, yo, you are so lucky that you didn't tell me that you were Cheryl Lee Ralph's daughter when I met you, because I would have followed you home to meet Cheryl Lee Ralph. Even if y'all lived on different coasts, I would have politely waited in your apartment at some point, Christmas, a birthday or something, either you going to see mom or mom coming to see you. I'll wait. So Sheryl Lee Ralph has had a remarkable career as an actress, not only on the TV screens, but she's been on Broadway and she's been on the big screen. She's done it all. She, of course, was one of the original Dream Girls on Broadway, which debuted in 1981, the same year I was born. And she played the role of Dina, which is the exact same role that Beyonce played in the 2006 movie adaptation of the Broadway play. And us 80s babies and 90s kids will, of course, know Sheryl Lee Ralph as Moesha's fly-ass stepmom. But Miss Sheryl Lee has been putting in the work for decades. Now, she was in her 20s in the 80s, which was a decade of full-on glam, glitz, lots of makeup, lots of color, big hair. Everything was big. It was go big or go home in the 80s. Now, keep that in mind because I'm going to tie that together pretty soon. So now in 2023, Sheryl Lee Ralph is 66 years old. Hair styling and your overall styling go a long way to make you look even better post 40 than you did in your 20s. And as I just mentioned, the 80s had a very distinct look. As we move on with time, as the decades pass, we do not want to look like we're stuck in that decade over here when we over here and the rest of the world is over here. Now, because no matter how fine Sheryl Lee Ralph is, and she is fine, I don't think she would have made this list if she was rocking a Jerry curl in 2023. And I want to make this point because a lot of people seem to think that, you know, it's money, it's black don't crack, it's, you know, they celebs had a lot of surgery. But I want to further emphasize the role that hairstyling, makeup, and fashion styling has in making you look even more amazing 40 plus. Now, look at this side by side of Sheryl Lee Ralph, right? Gorgeous woman either way. However, in the picture with the short hair and the burgundy outfit, she is 10 years younger than she is in the other picture. And it's not because her hair is shorter, because a lot of women after 40 do opt to cut their hair shorter because a lot of the signs of facial aging, you know, the drooping and the loss of volume, longer hair tends to overemphasize that for some people. So some women opt to have a shorter haircut because it kind of draws the eye up and makes things look more like whoosh, instead of like whoosh. Shorter hair can actually make you look younger. However, it depends on the styling. Now, bringing back that picture again, the shorter hair, it looks nice. However, it does kind of look like it was styled the way shorter hair was styled in the 90s. And when you kind of think back to that decade, it does kind of seem dated. And that coupled with the outfit that she has on seals the deal. Now, the outfit is what some would deem as age appropriate, but see me, I think the vibrant colors, the fresher makeup, the more flattering hairstyle, I think that is more age appropriate than the other one. I mean, yeah, she is dressed for a red carpet in the other picture, but you know what I mean. All right, but here's a non-red carpet picture that demonstrates exactly what I mean. Do you see how she just radiates? Like, she not in a cat suit like how the young girls be in their kind of cat suits looking thing. She's doing it in her own way. Now, wearing your best colors also enhances your look. It makes you look radiant. It makes you look more confident. It makes it look like, oh my God, like she looks great. Like those are her colors. However, wearing the wrong colors can make you look sickly and tired and just wrong. We talk about how to find your best colors on my fashion channel, so make sure you check that out. Now, while genetics do play a part in the way that our skin ages, however, it's not as big of a percentage as you might think it is, which means that there are things that you can do to better your skin. Check out this next video to find out this simple yet effective skincare routine to try out to keep your skin looking as snatched as possible for as long as possible. Click on that video here and I'll see you there.